What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining. As always, hope you are having a great one. Today we are celebrating my 50th video with something shiny. We are going to take a look at the Chrome Clone Trooper from Star Wars. If you wanted to save a little bit from Sideshow, you could use that there QR code and do just that. Now this figure was kind of a special edition that they had at part of the Star Wars Fan Fest. One of my buddies had ended up going to that, so I had him pick one up for me. Or at least get the coupon code to order one. So I also did get one for the Black Chrome Death Trooper, which will hopefully be coming in the near future as well. But from everything I've seen with this fella, it is pretty dang cool. So we're going to go ahead and get him on out of carbonite, take him out of his hard candy shell, and get a closer look at this fella. Now they are pretty tricky to get a hold of now. You basically have to go the eBay reseller route. Most of the time I see people asking in like the $350 range. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's necessarily worth it. Ooh, this box is cool. I guess it's kind of their own, to each their own sort of thing. I'm iffy on it for the most part, but I like shiny stuff, so we'll go ahead and take a look-see. Now the box is the standard Hot Toys Star Wars box, but it does look absolutely gorgeous. Of course you can see it in all its chromy goodness. You do get a couple different head sculpts, so you can do the different phased helmets, which is nice. For the most part, box is pretty basic. If you want any of the info, there you go. Love that little thing there. But yeah, they straight and to the point. You kind of get the same thing with most of the Hot Toys figures these days. And honestly, with the Star Wars ones, they've got a really cool classic look to them. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a winner. This picture's pretty dang neat. Blam! Take a look at that. You get to see them both in all of their glory. You do get two blasters, which is nice. We'll take a look at those as well. But I am really digging that picture. They did a cool job with that one. And more importantly, here is the man of the hour. And we'll just kind of yank all of this stuff on off of here. He definitely does look pretty darn shiny. Holy moly. Alright, he's got a lot of plastic on it. I should have expected that. Although I will say, comes off pretty dang easy. Now he does have a whole bunch of little padding that you can see. That's basically to prevent the plates from rubbing against each other and scuffing. I am, full disclosure, not very impressed with it at first glance. Yeah, we'll dive into it in just a bit. Let me get all of this good stuff off, and we'll kind of take everything on out and get a little bit closer of a look. It does look kind of cool, but that little bodysuit that he's in, it leaves a lot to be desired, to say the least. All right, let's do this. Got a fancy shiny jetpack. Fancy second head. A pretty cool base, which we can take a look at. It's basically the little Galactic Empire logo, so that's kind of fun. Well, you do get some extra hands, which I can pull out one to take a close-up look at, but they're with hands, you basically always get the same thing. He comes with 5 in total. It looks like, well, we'll take a look at him. So there's a trigger finger for each side, which is nice. We got the cool chrome armor on him, and then the black glove underneath. Definitely looks pretty dang cool. You got a nice little pointer, which this one we'll just leave out. I'm going to use that. Oh, alright. This is awesome. You do get a thumbs up. Okay. Alright, at this point, just going to pull them all out, go through one at a time, make it a little easier. Oh, he's got tons of fun hands. Alright. I give them credit for this. They do give you some nice alternate hand choices. Now the trigger hand we already showed for the one side, so I'm just going to leave it in there, but you do get one for the other as well. That way, I suppose in theory you could have him dual wield if you wanted. Probably wouldn't go too well holding both of those, but that's alright. So he's got the ability to do a finger bang, which is fun. That's kind of cool. Or you could theoretically put a cigarette in there if you wanted to make him a smoker. I'm always a fan of that. I really doubt that's what it was intended for, but hey, you know, kind of cool. I suppose it's probably more of, you know, some sort of military sign type thing. Or maybe he's got the force and he's doing the magic hand thing, you know, something like that. But pretty cool. This was the one that gave me pause when I saw it. You get a thumbs up. And that alone is awesome. I like that. That's fancy. I mean, not really, but it's pretty dang cool. This one makes my day. It shouldn't, because it's stupid and kind of insignificant, but I definitely dig it. Now, one thing you can see just from me touching it, here, I'll go ahead and scuff this up a little bit. Definitely leave some marks, but that's alright. You could probably just use like a tissue to polish that off, to be honest. Might even be able to do it just with a shirt sleeve, realistically. Let's find out. Not terrible. That is one thing to be mindful of. The more you touch it, you're probably going to leave some smudges on it, just from the oils in your fingers. They're going to get on there, so be a little bit careful when you're playing with the guy. Or if you don't care, you know, that also works. The backpack should be magnetic like the other ones. Pretty straightforward design there, nothing too fancy. It is, for the most part, from what I can tell, yeah, it's all the chrome color, so that's cool. They probably could have done a little bit of accents with it. It does have the openings in the base. You don't get any flame accessories, though, which is a little bit of a bummer. I feel like they could have included those since you're getting the pack. Also of note, it is a normal crotch grabber. They don't give you the... yeah, you can even get a little mark there just from holding it. They don't give you any of the dynamic flight stands or anything like that, which is kind of strange because you get the jetpack, but that's all right. Take a real closer look at the early model helmet. This one I actually really like. Definitely did cool work on that. This one also is, for the most part, all chrome. There is a little gray right above that black strip, but that's fine. I think it adds a nice little accent to it. Actually did a pretty dang good job with this one, so kudos on that. I think the design of the armor and everything looks good. I just was not overly impressed at the undersuit, and you might see why when we get a closer look at the figure itself. You do get pretty dang cool blasters. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's kind of a bummer. Alright, so this is the DC-15S, if I'm not mistaken, which is the smaller version of the blaster. This one later became the E11, which is what the Stormtroopers use, but this part, in theory, is supposed to be a stock. So, yikes. A little bit of a whoopsie on their behalf. What should theoretically happen is that would fold all the way back, and then you would get a little extra brace action. But, whoops. So that's kind of a bummer there. Just calling it like I see it on that one. It would be cool if you could pull out the little power cell there, but, you know, I digress. It is plastic. They did do a really good job with the paint. That's a little oversight there. But hey, what are you going to do? I believe this is actually what they would use to flip it to the stun setting, if I'm not mistaken, so I was kind of hoping that would swivel, but it does not. And again, not the end of the world by any means. Still pretty dang cool looking. I always did like the design of this blaster. I thought they did a good job with it. And I like that they've got like the fake screw holes in it. That's kind of nice. And then you also get its bigger brother, the DC-15A. So this one also technically was replaced with the E11. just because eventually they went with the more uniform basic rifle for all them Stormtrooper fellas. But definitely cool. I wish that could detach, but that's alright. Not the end of the world. Honestly, this is one of those things where I feel like they could have done a little bit more with it and made it a little bit neater. I mean, I'm just being picky on it, but easily could have added a removable cell or, you know, a couple movable parts to it, or get the stock right. Just saying. Just saying. But there you have it. And then you got the figure itself. And now we will take a closer look at this guy. So the things that I was having issue with earlier, you can see the little straps right there. And just the way the Under Armour looks, I don't really like the striping at all. It just, there's a lot more black to it than I would like. I feel like with the normal clone troopers, like Rexon, for example, you don't really see a ton of that. And maybe I'm wrong. I am often. And obviously once you got him moving around, it's going to be nice. But I just feel like there's a whole lot more space in those spots than on the other ones. Now, it is possible they did that just so you're not rubbing the armor against each other when he's moving around. But it does look a little odd, to say the least. It does have decent mobility on him. Oops, forgot some foam. He's got that going, which is nice. I do think you're going to be able to get some cool posing out of him, all things considered. I just, that undersuit. I don't know. Something about it. Not a huge fan myself. And it might be one of those things where you don't really notice it too much once you've gotten him into a cooler pose, but just kind of standing and playing around with him does stick out quite a bit. Now, I will say I'm not noticing a ton of smudging or fingerprint marks while I'm holding him and playing around with him, so that's kind of cool. That was one of the big concerns that I had with him, is being shiny, that almost every time you pick him up you're going to leave marks. And in some regards you definitely do see them, but not nearly as bad as I was expecting. Decent movement in the ankles there. No real complaints in that regard. But pretty much that is that. There's not a whole lot to the figure, to be honest. Personal opinion, unless you really, really, really wanted to get all of the Chrome guys, or just really thought this one in particular was a must-have, I would not really suggest paying much over retail for it. You could probably find them open on eBay for not too much over the original price, but if you see anybody asking in the 400 range, I think they're kind of crazy, and it would be a hard pass for me. It is kind of a shame, though, because it is a pretty neat figure, and if they made it more easily available, I think you could do some cool stuff with repaints, just adding some neat designs and stuff like that to the armor, some crazy colors and stuff like that. You could definitely do some neat stuff with it. I'm certainly not going to with this fella, but you definitely could. Also, if you did want to give the little trooper a kiss, there you go. That'll do it for this one. Bye, everybody.